Hello everyone, welcome back to 3D Drawing for Your Model Railway. In today's episode I'm going to jump back a bit and go back to the PUM that we did a couple of months ago, and I need to get back and do the transport trolley at the bottom here because I've got an exhibition going to and I want to have the whole wagon complete beforehand if possible. So obviously loading it all up, I've gone back in the history. I've got a few things here that scale this up to 00 gauge, so I can print that for a few mates. I'm just going to ignore those. And then we're going to go and create a new component for the trolley itself. So up the top here where the PUM is, going to click New Component, and we're going to give that the name MWT trolley. Let's create this new component, make sure the radio button's checked. And I'm going to create a new sketch on the face of the side drawing here. And I'm just going to select the canvas as the face I'm drawing off of. Use a 2-point rectangle, and then I'm going to draw that covering the trolley here. Okay, so where's the origin? Let's just bring that up a second there. So then I'm just going to dimension from the origin. You don't have to do this, it's up to you whether you do or not. This is just really so that this is all locked into position really. Dimensions don't really matter because it's coming from your origin. The length of that, we're going to do 10.4, and then the height looks like 1.6. Okay. Now we've got that, we'll escape, right click and then extrude. Spin that round, and we've got to make the size match this sketch here. So let's just drag this side out till it lines up. So for me it's coming across 2.3 in that direction. I'm going to do two sides there, and I'm going to drag across to match on this side. 10 millimeters in that direction. So the total width is going to be 12.3 millimeters in total. Creating the new body, which will then put the body into this component. I'm just going to move this canvas slightly. In fact, yeah, it's going to move the canvas. So by make sure we get the right one, plan 1, I'm just going to edit the canvas and I'm going to drag it down to match on top of this sketch. So it's not quite the same two sides. I've come down 1.5. You're going to go 1.7 and click on OK. So if we look at a picture of this trolley, we've got a good one from the side. We've got like a cut-out shape on the sides here, and that's on both ends. We've got no dimensions for that, but looking at that, it looks about probably 6 inches or so. So I'm going to scroll onto the top. I'm going to actually turn the body off for the PUM itself, and we'll now turn those canvases off. In fact, before I do that, let's get wheels, because at least then we know the correct spacing for those. So if we go back into bodies, we can see that we've got wheels in this position here, and that's probably not going to be matching the same position for this, unfortunately, for some reason, but the distance apart should be what we're looking for. So within the MWT trolley, I'm going to construct an offset plane on the inside surface of the wheel. And then I can draw this wheel set on here, and then mirror it across the middle of the PUM to get it on both sides. Now we've got that offset plane, create a sketch on it. So see, I'm just selecting that face, and then we can put the wheels in the correct position here. So the centre of the wheel looks like it starts about that position. I'm going to go for 2.4 millimeters in diameter. And that's going to be the inside of the flange really. I'm going to move that ever so slightly to the right, and we'll dimension there to the bottom of the MWT. We'll do 1.6 millimeters, and then the height from there 0.15 millimeters. Okay, so if we extrude that, spin it back around, make sure we extrude it the right way. We're going to come inwards slightly. I'm going to do it to the inside surface of this wheel. I'm going to basically draw this wheel the same. It's 0.5 millimeters. I'm going to do that as a. Let's do it as a new. No, we should be able to just join it. Just clicking on join there. I'll spin that back around, click on OK, and then I'll draw on that face. Stay down a bit to be helpful. Find the centre point. We'll draw a wheel. We're going to go for 1.8 millimeters in diameter. So select the bottom half of the profile here. And again, I'm going to draw it the same as this one. So I'm just going to select that face. And then it's drawing at 1.5 millimeters. Click on OK. Okay, so essentially we've got the wheel there. If we have a quick look on this picture, it does have the recess on it the same as the other wheel. So again, draw on that inside face and circle, find the midpoint. I'm going to go for 1.2 millimeters. Select that inner profile and then extrude that. It's going to come in 0.5 millimeters to cut that off. So we've got like a recessed area in there now. Okay, and that's the basic part of the wheel. We're going to put a little bit of the detail in. So there's a small little arm that comes down to hold it. I'm not going to do too fancy here because it's not really going to be seen. So we're going to create a sketch on the front of that wheel surface, and I'm going to use the line tool. So you can see the line comes up sort of from this point, but let's do projection, select that line, and then we can be able to snap to it, and then it's going to come down that angle, and I'm going to come up and project into, you have to create a sort of triangle type shape. Select those profiles, and then I'm going to extrude that. I'm just going to bring that out maybe 0.3 millimeters. And there's a small little block at the top here that I'm going to draw in. Again, I'm going to create a sketch on the front profile of the wheel. Help if you can keep snapping to the origin, but it's not the end of the world. And project that front surface. Draw the line. I'm going to come straight down from there, across and back up. And realistically, we can just extrude that slightly beyond there. So we know that's a distance. If I select the wheel profile, yes I have. Let's try again. Extrude that profile to the front surface, which we know is 0.3. I'm going to come slightly further, and I'm going to make that a join as well, just so that it sort of sits out, gives it a bit of profile. And then on this inside surface of the wheel, I'm just going to put a small diameter circle, maybe 0.4. And I'm going to extrude that to the front surface of there to join, and that's all supported on the inside there. Okay. So now we've got all of that lot, we're going to mirror that across. So let's turn off, get rid of that construction tank has gone off, and we'll turn off the cancelling for a moment. We're going to construct mid-plane. We'll do the two faces first of all. Put one down the middle, and then we'll do the same, construct a mid-plane from that face to that one. And then we can mirror all of this lot across these mid-planes. So, mirror, and then we're selecting features. Go back through all the wheels. We've got them all. So that's the first part, so it's that feature. I'm going to come across selecting those 6 features we've just drawn. Mirror plane, let's go that way first. And click on OK. And then do the same again, we're going to do the same 6 features. Plus we're going to add in the mirror. And then we're going to go across the opposite plane to what we've just done. So we'll select that plane there, and then we've got wheels on all 4 sides. Good. Let's turn those planes off. Okay, so now we'll do those 2 cutouts that we've got on each side. So again, if we turn that top body off the PUM, we can scroll onto the top, select the top surface. I'm just going to use a rectangle, and I'm going to just draw a rectangle like this. Dimension, I'm going to do 1.2 millimeters just to give it a little bit of depth, and then from the edge just to the inside face of the wheel. So let's go for, let's try 1.8 millimeters to start with, and then we need to adjust it based on where that looks with the wheel. Extrude that, spin that over. That's going to cut through the wheel, which isn't what we want to do. So we're going to make that distance a little bit more. So I'm just going to bring that down 2 millimeters to cut it, and we can go back into that sketch. We'll make that 2.1 that side, 2.1 on that side. See how that looks. Still needs, what's this distance here? Probably 0.5 on it as well. Okay, so that'll be 2.6 millimeters. That's now on the inside of the wheel, which obviously makes this look a bit too wide. So, do we want to make this smaller? Although we can't, because that's the gauge of the wheel, the gauge of the track. We could make this thinner, but then it probably snap off during printing, being too thin. Because we've only got that being the extrusion there, 0.5. If we don't know what to do, whether to make it smaller or not, because we're only going to gain, I'll make that smaller, 0.6 of a millimeter on the width in here. So I don't think I'm going to do it actually. I'm just going to leave it as it is. Let's bring the planes in here. We can mirror this across. Mirror that feature across that inside. Okay, and then looking on the images, we've got these little eyelets. So let's draw on. Right, let's create a offset plane from that base and bring that down 0.2 millimeters. Create a sketch on there. I'm using the midpoint here. We're going to need to project on that edge. I'm going to draw a construction line. I'm going to come out, what do we want, 0.3 millimeters, I reckon. And let's look at the shape if we can. It's like a triangle with a curved end. So let's do 3 there. Come up to that. And then if we fill it between there and there, so rounding out 0.10 millimeters, you can select those two profiles and extrude that. I'm not worried about this error that was coming up, that was just because the constraints would be affected by me filleting the end off. I'm going to go 0.3. In fact, we'll come back into that sketch before we do that and create a small circle, although these might not print particularly well. Change the profile here to just be the two outside parts. Okay, and then we can pattern that feature. Axis, we're going to do vertically. I'm going to bring that down. We need 2 of them. I'm going to come down 0.7. Now we've got that, we can then do a pattern of those, axis across, quite close, so I'm coming 2.7 to the left, and we do the same again, select that pattern and extrusion, and then we'll come 2.7 to the right, and just do 2 of them. Good. Have a look. The triangle pieces on the bottom. Sketch the bottom surface. Put a triangle in. It comes pretty much where this is in the corner. So there and there. Dimensions from the inside edge. Let's go to 0.5. That. Why it's not liking that. It's because that constraint. So if we delete that, then I'll be able to move it. Essentially, it's snapped to the midpoint of that. And that's happened because it's now got no constraint to that edge. So just using that constraint snaps it back in. Okay, and then I'm going to extrude that vertically. That's going to look right. That's got to come to the edge. I'm going to come up 0.2, go back into that, edit sketch, delete that distance because that point should be constrained to that corner. And then I'm going to mirror that feature on plane 2. Okay, so anything now I want to do before I mirror those? No. So I'm now going to mirror all of that lot across. that extrusion, those patterns, that extrusion and that mirror. The mirror plane will be that centre point. Copy that over. Okay, so the next thing I do is put on this frame here, the next part up. So again, come into Fusion. Let's draw what face actually. I'm going to draw it on the top surface, I think. No, I'm going to draw it on the inside of this little recess we've drawn. So I've selected that face. Just going to project actually that top surface, and then create a 2-point rectangle. Okay. So that should have snapped to there. I'm going to dimension. The height is going to be 0.8. Distance from that corner to that corner is 2.2. From that corner to that corner will also be 2.2. And then we can extrude that. That's going to come across to this face here. And then if I look at the pictures here, them two faces look like they're the same distance. So I'm going to go back in history. I'm just going to move this face back a bit. So we come back to this one. Edit that sketch. We're going to increase that distance to, let's go 1 point. In fact, we're going to go 2 millimeters. Because the other one was 2.2, so it's just going to be slow. It's going to be slightly inside those. Okay, so going to go back on to the circles here, because you see how that's been affected, because that wasn't constrained in here. So we bring that back, put dimension from there to that midpoint, 0.05. That's a bit too much. 0.03. Let's put that back how it should be. That's what happens if you don't constrain your drawings properly. It's the lesson there. Okay, so the next thing is on top of this, or the top part of it's got a plate that comes out, and that looks like it comes out about halfway along this arm. So I'm going to create a sketch on the top surface, and I'm going to use center point rectangle, I think. If I find the midpoint of this, come down, and then the point of this, come across, they should then snap in the middle. And we can bring that along. Okay, so distance along here, we're going to go for 10 millimeters. It's about halfway roughly looking. And what should we say? From there to there. Let's go also go for 1 millimeter. Why is you moved across? You shouldn't have done that. Let's get rid of that then. We will do it this way. Change that to 4 millimeters. That should. Why are you not constrained that to the middle? Let's constrain it this way. Okay. 7.5. So that. Sorry, 7.10. So that should be 3.55. That's now centered. I don't know why that middle point didn't automatically constrain, but never mind. So we've got these two parts on the side. I'm just going to extrude those down. minus 0.25 to create that plate effect on the top. Okay, so now a little bit on the top here is going to be just a guesswork, because this is about the best picture we've got out of all of them, of this top part here. Now I believe this would rotate so that they can square it up on the bottom of the sleeper, but we don't need it to do that. I'm just going to draw it as a nice straight part really, and then that will just be attached at the top. So we can see on this we've got some of the drawing here, so we're going to create a sketch on the front of the little overhang that we've just drawn. And again, I'm just going to use a rectangle tool to drag that out like that. And I'm going to constrain midpoint of the rectangle just drawn to the bottom of the little overhang, and then height wise, let's go for 0.65 just to square that number up. What else does this need? It needs that doing, so 1.75. Okay, now looking at the picture, it looks like a bit of a U channel with another piece on top. So what we can do is again use a rectangle tool, and then we're going to have 0.2 millimeters on each side. Same on the bottom here. And then we'll extrude that U channel across. Then we've got another U channel that sits on top of that, but it's at this distance, so it's a smaller piece. So now we'll draw on that face, which is this face here. We'll draw again, we're going to project on that. I'm going to select the same height as this piece, up across, there, across, and one putting there, down, and then we'll do 0.2. So essentially I'm just going to make a U channel that goes over the top of this now. So 0.65. Draw that across line of U, and then down. Okay, we can vertically constrain U to U, and U to U, and then that snaps all that nice. Extrude that, and that's going to come to the same face on. Extrude that to that profile there. So it's a 7.10 millimeter piece that's created there. So we've got like a U channel facing upwards and a U channel facing downwards on top of it. So next part, I'm going to draw these little blocks on the end, and then the U channels are on top of that. So I'm going to create a sketch on the top surface of that little U channel just drawn. Use a rectangle tool. Just drag it out like that. Create dimensions from the edges. Let's go from 0.15 on each edge. And again, these are just arbitrary numbers that I'm picking that look about right. That edge 5, and then we'll give it a dimension of 0.8. And we'll give it a height 0.3, okay. go for 0.3, and then we'll do a mirror on that piece. And we'll use the mid plane, make sure we get the right one, which is mid plane 2. Again, making sure we've still got 2 bodies and this is selected. Okay, and then for this, I'm actually wondering, I'm going to come back on that mirror. I'm going to do a pattern on there. I'm going to pattern that extrusion. I'm going to come inwards, just 2 of them, 2 millimeters. It's probably too much. 1.8 millimeters. And I'm going to edit that mirror to add in that pattern. And then I'm going to draw the U's on top of these 2 patterns there. Okay, so let's get them U's. So they are overhang slightly. Rotate that, draw a sketch on the side of that block. Let's slice through the rest of the sketch so we're actually looking at the piece we're drawing. And we'll draw, let's go for that line tool, I think. It's wider, so we're going to come out further. So let's come across maybe 0.4 millimeters. Do the same on this side. Why does not, because I've got 0.4 there. Let's get rid of that dimension. Let's say, why does that look bigger? That's better. Okay, height wise, how far up do we come? Not a massive piece, maybe 0.7 millimeters. And then we'll come in 0.2. Down 0.5. Let's actually come the other way. Let me know that the distance is right. I could do the maths on it, but I'm just being lazy. Come down again, 0.5, and then that should fill a line in there. Let's work out why you're not dimensioning. So you are, but it's something to do with you. That point, let's do vertically and horizontally constrained to there. I'll stop that. And 0.5, okay. Extrude that, okay. Is it longer? No, it's not. So we can extrude that just the width of the block. And then if we mirror that feature on plane 2 again. I wonder if them blocks are actually a bit too wide, and that's what's making it look a little bit odd here. If we make it 0.5 millimeters, is that going to look too thin? Maybe not. Edit that extrusion again because it's not snapped properly there. And then I'm going to change the pattern and make that 1.75 just to make it a little bit more offset. That's better. Okay, so now we've got some little circle things here. I'm not sure exactly what they are, but we'll add them in. They look like they're just to the side of that plate. So you can create a sketch on that top surface of the bottom unit, and they're about this sort of area here. Actually, I'm going to go somewhere in this area here. So for 1mm in diameter, and I'm going to bring that constraint to there with 0.75. I wonder if 1mm is maybe a bit too big. Constrain that direction 0.3. It's going to make it 0.8 in diameter to make it a little bit smaller and bring this a bit closer. 0.55. Okay, and the height of this, coming to the bottom of the plate there, so it's up 0.5, and then it's got a smaller piece on the top, so we'll draw on the top surface, strain a circle to the middle there, and we'll go for 0.3 millimeters, and extrude that piece. That probably comes to the top of that plate. Okay, so we've got that, and then we've got these pieces here. Now, I can't tell if they're on the corner of every single unit. I don't think they are. I think they're diagonally offset. I think they're diagonally offset, and I think that's like a little coupling thing. Yeah, I think they are. So let's do that. So we're going to mirror this first. I was going to do mirrors for all of it, but they're offset. So select those features. Mirror plane will go across the middle, and then do mirror again. Select those features. Mirror plane this time will be that one. Okay, so now to do these, they look like they're close to the edge. I'm going to put them slightly offset from the inside of this. So offset plane, line is 0.2 I think. Project on the face. Let's use the rectangle tool. Go for 0.4 in width and height wise. We'll go 0.5. Width 0.5 in height. Distance from the front of the unit are reasonably close, so we'll go 0.2, and we'll give that a thickness now. It's quite a thin piece, so maybe 0.2 in thickness, and then we need to pattern that feature. Axis across. Needs 3 of them, and 1 millimeter look about right, probably a bit more than that. I'll go 1.2 millimeters across. And then on that front surface, draw a circle, 0.2 in diameter. Height from the top, 0.5. Distance from the edge, 0.2. And then we can extrude that all the way through, make sure it's a drawing, not a cut. Okay, so we've got that. We need to now do the same on this side. Now, could we copy it easier, or is it easier? Probably just easier to draw it. So again, offset plane from that face, -0.2. Sketch on there. Project rectangle 4 in width, 0.5 in height, distance from the edge 0.2. Extrude width thickness of 0.2. Pattern, feature, axis horizontal, 3 of them. 1.2 we did. And then front face, draw that circle again. No, it wasn't, 0.2. Height down was 0.5. Width. And extruded all the way through to the drawing. There we go. Okay, that's them done diagonally. So now we've got these two parts here as well. So they're going to be sort of in line with this. So if we go to the top and we draw a sketch on the top surface, I'm going to cheat. I'm going to draw a rectangle here that's going to be 0.2 wide and 0.4 in length. And I'm going to vertically, horizontally constrain that point to that one. And the left hand side of that one to the left hand side of that one. Yep, that'll work. And then if we do the same on this corner, 0.2 in width, 0.4 in height, vertical constrain the right hand side of that one to the right hand side of that one, and then the top edge to that top edge. We can then select these two profiles, and extrude them to the same height of those. Pattern that extrusion. Oh, that's not going to work. Because as soon as I do that, it's going to move one that way, one that way. Cancel that. We'll have to get rid of that extrusion. Back into that sketch. I have to do these independently. So extrude that one to that height. Back into that sketch. And extrude that one to the same height. Pattern. So select jump that back in the future. Pattern, extrusion, axis sideways, and we're going to go to the right. 0.6, 2 off. That's not gone a bit skewy there. Let's try again. Pattern, feature, axis to the right. 0.6, just the 2 of them. Click on OK, and then we can do pattern. Make sure we get the right one. That one. Axis, and we'll come to the left on that. 2 of 0.6 millimeters. I think they're going to have a hole in them, and there's going to be a pin through there. So on the side, get a sketch on there. And we'll put a circle down. 2 in diameter, midpoint at the top, 0.15. And extrude that all the way through as a cut. We'll do the same on this one. Nope, cancel that. Okay, I'm going to add these eyelets in now. Use the pipe tool for that. So I'm going to create an offset plane on that face there. I'm going to bring that in. How much do we want to come in by? It's coming by 0.2. Sketch on that surface. And because we're using the line tool, we draw a rectangle. Project that base on. Draw a rectangle. Distance from the edge. It's not far, so again we should use that 0.25 just to give it some room that we can pipe on. Width, go for 0.35. Height 0.4. And then I'm going to get a load of constraints thrown up now because I'm going to do a rounded surface there, which will be 0.175. Do the same on that side, 1.75. No, that's not going to work. Slightly smaller, 0.17. I have a little tiny straight bit in the middle there. Okay, that arrow is just because this constraint now no longer exists, which is fine. And I'm going to delete that line off the bottom. That's throwing that arrow up now because it now doesn't understand how far that far is apart, so we just add that in. Click finish, and then we can use pipe to select that line. Obviously the thickness is way too big there. So let's come down to 0.1. Although that's probably going to be way too thin to print. What we could do, let's go 0.15. 0.5, that might be okay. They're going to be delicate anyhow, I'll probably end up getting snapped, but at least they're there. We can mirror that feature. Mirror plane, we can go for mid plane there. And then mirror again. Pipe plane mirror. And mid plane 3 this time. Okay, those added. So one thing that shows up on this photo, which doesn't on the other ones, is it looks like there's rollers on here, which would make sense. So I'm going to just draw on the inside face of that U channel, slice through it so we can see. I'm going to draw a circle, and I'll go for the midpoint of the U channel. I'm going to go for 0.45 in diameter. Height. Let's select that because we know that's the midpoint. Distance from the end, 0.4. Finish the sketch and then select that profile to extrude to that profile. Join. And then we can rectangular pattern that's axis is going to go across the unit. So I'm coming across minus 0.2 and I'm going to add in of them. And if we put suppression on, because we don't need these ones because they're hidden, we can just tick those, get rid of them. That'll give us the 4 on the end, which will have the impression that they go all the way across, but not actually be all the way across it. So that means this piece would then slide left and right in real life as well, which would again make sense to get the pieces positioned. So here I'm just looking through this for anything that I could potentially add in detail wise with the hooks. Realistically, I think it's about done there, looking at that. That's pretty detailed as it is. For something that's going to be slung in the bottom of a wagon, I would say I'm happy with that, really. Because ultimately what I'm trying to achieve is this, and you can see that there's the 2 units being placed in between the PUMs in the wagon. Are they sitting on something in there? I don't know, I can't really tell, it's not really a clear picture in there, but I think I'm going to be calling this done. I think the detail on that's going to be good enough for the wagon load as it is. So hopefully you followed this along. I know it's been a while since I've come back and finished this, but other things waylaid me. I've got other interesting other projects, but at least we come back, we finished it. In fact, actually, one thing I've forgotten that I did notice on the pictures earlier that I didn't pick up is they're curved on the edges, and then we're done. So if we just fill it off these 2 edges here. I'm going to do that 0.2 millimeters, and I'm going to do the same on the 4 inside edges. It's not a big difference, but it might be noticeable on the finished model that they're rounded off there. That's it done. 100% done now. I'm happy with that, really. and again, it's just a wagon load. So hopefully you've been able to follow along and you've achieved this as well, and enjoyed the process of going through this wagon. Thanks for watching.